Yo, peep these patch notes.
Marvel Rivals. Yeah, and I think I know I'm playing it. I know Tony, you're playing it. Enigma's playing it. A lot of my friends are playing it. Pika's playing it. A lot of community members are playing it. Bill, I don't know. Have you played it?
I've played a little bit of it. I don't have the time to get good at that shit, and it's already gotten so sweaty that I'm not having fun with it. But that's just me. I'm not a hero shooter guy.
And Scruffy, we're gonna have some conversations back and forth. I thought he would be, but he's obviously dumb and doesn't want to play it. So this Marvel Rivals, if you live under a rock, it is a hero-based 6v6 shooter, third person, completely free by NetEase, it's essentially Overwatch put in Marvel, right? And make it third person. And so it has just completely been dominating everything. I mean, they are holding 500,000 concurrent players daily. This is now a month and a half after launch. They have already they launched with 33 characters. They've already launched 2 more characters in a brand new season. They literally looked at what Overwatch was doing wrong and said, fuck it, we're going to do everything right. We're going to do all of this stuff right. And we're going to give you guys what you want. And oh my God, like this game has sucked my soul away. And my wallet, I've spent an exorbitant amount of money on a free game that I will not disclose in case my wife is watching. But
smart man.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. I mean, this is a game that is, you've got a tank class, you have a DPS class, you have a healer class. It's not without its faults, don't get me wrong, but when you're talking about a game that is launching, that is free to play, this is rare. This is something that you do not see happen a lot, where there are, it comes out in a very, very, very playable state. They listen to feedback, and a lot of these games you would immediately be like, they're trying to take your money, steal, do whatever they can to get a quick buck.
Somebody had a moment.
Everything in this game is free. Everything, if you buy a battle pass, you keep it forever. You can go back and re-level that battle pass. For $10, you get 10 skins in the new battle pass. You're also getting currency back, is like up to, I think, 900 points in currency when it's all said and done. I mean, I can't gush about this game enough. I mean, obviously I'm a Marvel fucking nut. But this game just hits on every fucking gaming level if you are a competitive person and like competitive shooters.
We've been saying it forever. The only thing that we need for a Marvel game to succeed is a large character roster of Marvel characters and a team that's willing to continue to pump out those characters. And you've got the makings of a perfect games as a service Marvel game.
Already
we finally got it.
Out another character or 2 every month and a half.
So they're launching 2 characters every month and a half is their goal for that. So how if they keep up with it, great. I think that'll slow down. I think that'll probably
should slow down.
Come to buy. I actually disagree. I think they fucking keep that pacing. You have a roster that is massive. Keep dumping them, right? It keeps the game fresh. It keeps the game, people wanting to come back. Their skins are they're on point with their skins. And the thing that's crazy about this is, and I can't believe I'm saying this about a company like NetEase. If you were to talk to us about NetEase 8 months ago, 9 months ago, we would have told you steer clear of anything that NetEase does and don't ever go anywhere close to them. This is completely opposite. When you look at the way that they develop these characters, the time that they put into their outfits, their abilities, their ults, all of that kind of stuff, it all is very much of a love note to comic book fans. There's some questionable stuff of being like, why is Mr. Fantastic not a fucking tank? And why is he a DPS character? Why did they make Loki a healer?
There are some definite rule choices that I think are a bit sus, but I understand them needing to flesh out rules as well.
But I mean, when it's just, I could spend the entire show talking about this game. I don't know, but you guys have thoughts. I know, Scruffy, you have an opinion about it. I want to get to Tony and to Bill, your guys' thoughts on it. Don't all jump at once.
No, as you
Scruffy,
said,
go for
Scruffy,
it.
I was waiting for Scruffy.
No,
Allowing you guys to.
Scruffy's gonna go last.
I don't have much of an opinion outside of it's too sweat for me. I liked Overwatch a lot whenever I first played it. This definitely gives me like Overwatch vibes, but the meta and the like skill level progress so much quicker in this game than I feel like Overwatch did whenever it first came out, and I just do not have the time to keep up with it.
It's not your fault, Bills. The thing is, and this is something I've been talking about for the past 3 years. Influencers kind of have ruined gaming in their own way, just because if we want to get down to brass tacks, like when the game first dropped, like, and that's why I try to explain to people all the time. When you first start playing a game, it's all fun. It's everybody's having fun, everybody's learning. But as the game progresses, if you give yourself a week, just a week of this game just being out, and then the competitive scene hit, everybody is either picking the sweatiest characters to use. Everybody wants to be number one, and then influencers have just, hey, don't pick that character. You need to use this. This is a better healer. This is a better attacker. This is how you get a combo in one shot and stuff like that. Like, I understand from a standpoint of somebody being brand new and running and trying to play this. Like, my wife jumped in and she was just like, oh, I want to try it. And I was like, I don't think you're gonna have an enjoyable experience. Like, you're very not to say scare anybody away from playing this game. It is great. It is a great game. But if you're a casual player, even in quick play, you have to deal with some questionable people just playing. And I agree. Like, there is an in-game chat censorship that, people, I get why they did that, to keep, it from being like a league setting where people are just toxic. But
it doesn't matter.
The game, it's not that bad. The game is enjoyable. There's a plethora of characters. In my opinion, I feel like I've enjoyed this game more than I've ever enjoyed Overwatch. Overwatch is a great game, but this is it's the bee's knees at this point. Like, I enjoy all of the characters, all of the different abilities, stuff like that. The only issue I have sometimes with this game is, of course, there will be crashes. People leaving matches. Now, that bothers me only because it takes so long sometimes to get someone else back into a match, or for that person to either come back if the game crashed on them.
Are you playing on PC or are you playing on console?
I'm playing on PC.
And you're seeing people leave?
There has been matches. Again, I'm not in your rank. I'm getting close now. But when I started in silver, people were leaving. Silver and bronze is like just
Elo hell.
Crazy for competitive, because either people are not listening or they're just leaving the matches, and that has happened to me on.
Yeah, that's wild. That it definitely must be something that is in that lower bracket.
It's in the lower bracket. Yeah.
I hate to say lower bracket, but like,
no, it's fine, because I haven't experienced this since I got the goal. Since I got the goal, I haven't experienced people leaving the matches anymore.
Yeah, because we don't.
But in silver,
I have not.
I mean, that's a common thing in a lot of competitive games with ranking. Is like you get stuck in those elo hells, and it's just like either people not trying or people leaving, and it's a lot of
it's one of those. One thing I appreciate about them though, is that they're not making a role category, at least yet, to lock people into roles, which I can appreciate. Yeah.
That's a good segue for you, buddy.
Yeah, I was gonna get into it, but if you'd like, I'll give my thoughts here. So I want to preface, I think the game's great. I do. Most of everything that I have wrong with it is personal nitpicks or hot takes in my own opinion. And I just it comes down to mostly it aggravates me. And when it doesn't aggravate me, it's almost leaning on the side I'm kind of bored playing it. And there's two reasons why. Mostly because of the metas, and I know right now maybe there's not the meta, but there was going on for a while the whole 3 tank, 3 healer kind of meta that people were running, and just kind of cheese and comps. And metas change all the time. That's a thing in games everywhere, But in this game particularly, I feel like metas are very easily exploited, and it might only be a case in lower mid ranks, because a lot of times they are, and you can get past them in higher ranks. But I still think it's a problem.
From what I gathered, that meta that was a problem, and I think Wolverine being added to the game solved that problem because that is like his role is
Right.
Is tank shred. So
and that'll happen, and things always change. That's why metas change. They add things and nerf things and buff things. But again, that also introduces, with the huge ever going master that they have going on, more metas will form, more will come, and more will go. It's just the nature of it, well, that's fine and dandy. If you like playing like that, you enjoy that kind of style, that is great. Just personally for me, I don't like following that. I find that very boring. And it isn't really my play style. But I think what can fix that is, like Tony was saying, a queue system, or a role queue. Having the two tanks, 2 healers, and 2 DPS. I know that's a hot take. I feel like I've only heard a lot of people say that, this game doesn't need it. This game shouldn't have it because, that's what made Overwatch die. I don't think that's what made Overwatch die, to be honest. Honestly, I think it really helped Overwatch. But where Overwatch lacked is the roster of heroes they had in that game. I don't think they had enough heroes to sustain a 2-2-2. This game, I think, will only thrive because it does have so many heroes and so many different team comps that you can pull off having a role queue.
Yep.
And then it also negates having those kind of cheesy, dive metas, shred metas, tank healer metas, whatever you want to, any kind of meta there is. I think.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I would like to hear it. I want to hear what you're saying.
We talked a little bit about on my stream last night about this, but the problem that I have with that is that it's counterintuitive to kind of what you're saying, because metas in this are constantly evolving. Like because there are so many heroes, because there's not a role queue. If it's like, hey, all of a sudden they switch, they now, they may start off with 1 tank, 4 DPS, 2 heals, right? Or no, sorry, 3 DPS, 2 heals, right? To have the 6. And then halfway through, they're like, fuck, we need to go 3 tanks, 3 DPS, or 3 heals. And so then at that point, it's your chess master going, okay, cool, I need to now swap to this. Whereas if you put in a role queue, what you're doing there is saying, okay, I know that they're going to have 2 tanks. And if they go Venom and they go Hulk, then I'm going to go Wolverine, right? I know the counter to this particular one character. So I'm just going to counter that one character. Whereas if you go and say, hey, we're not doing a queue. I've seen comps that have been 4 DPS, 2 heals, and it fucking wrecks shit. Right? Like it's just, it destroys everything. And so you now have to adapt to how do you stop that from happening. And so I think by adding a role queue, all you're doing is limiting your meta. Like I've never seen, look at like what we just talked about with PoE. Like the amazing thing about PoE is that you're able to choose how you want to build your character. Diablo went down a very different path with that and was like, yeah, you kind of have it, but like not really. The Paragon system is a little bit more of it, but not much. Like what benefit do you get from having choices taken away from you?
I agree. When you voice it like that, that makes sense because of all of the matches I've played. If you swap out hot swap characters out, especially if you getting fucking railroaded and you change out and hot swap, there are moments when you can change a game just changing your characters and having like you said 4 DPS or 2 heals. And I've seen just things happen like randomly, just changing characters mid game instead of being stuck to a certain role. So I agree exactly with what you're saying. There's multiple types of metas. Well, the only thing that I don't agree with is the fact of when you have too many characters coming into the fold, I feel like eventually for people, anybody new that wants to jump in and play this, there's a huge learning curve. And the only reason I say that is there's just so much to digest. Oh, this character does this. Oh, this character does that. This character has this ability. Like, I've had other friends that want to play this, and they'll look at it and they're like, man, I don't know what's going
Yeah,
on.
I mean,
Like,
that's
you
the
get what I'm
same.
saying?
That's the same problem
That's
that
the
like
only
League
thing I'm saying.
has, right? Like League has got
Mhm.
fuck all 100 and almost 200 plus, whatever champions. So
Right.
I can definitely I definitely get it. And I understand that. Where I think that they do a good job here of somewhat fixing it is they're not nerfing like massive, like they're not doing what Riot does, right? Or what Blizzard did with Overwatch, which is just like, we're gonna nerf, these are overplayed, we're nerfing them to the fucking ground, right? They're kind of going
Right,
with this
they're
idea
not
of like,
doing
hey, we're
that, yeah.
buffing the fuck out of everybody, like everybody's just gonna be fucking good. Like there's not even people will see this, me playing Rocket, and be like, fucking Rocket is not top tier. I can tell you right now, you can go and look at Eternity and One Above All and see some of the Rocket players and Rocket comps, and it's insane. Like it's just insane.
He's really good. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
I think that everybody does a good job, and they're addressing things of like, hey, you know what? Storm was not being played a lot during season 0. We're gonna buff Storm, not massively, but we're gonna buff her enough, and now she's getting played. Right. And so, but they didn't go in
agree.
and be like, hey, the way that we're gonna get her to get played is we're gonna nerf everybody else. And so now they're on the equal playing field. They're just like, no, we're just gonna buff her. Right. And we've said, I know Bill, I have watched Bill's beautiful mustachioed, bearded mouth say the words of like, I don't want to, like, don't make me feel bad, power me up, right? Make me feel bigger and better.
Mhm.
And I think that's I think it's good. Like I think that's a good way
One
of
thing I
handling it.
really do appreciate about this game is the seasonal bonuses. That gets people to play different characters. Because at the end of the day, if there's a seasonal bonus, let's say for instance, Magic right now has a 15% damage boost for a seasonal bonus. I love that because next season she may not have that bonus. So right now, if I'm a Magic player, like you're gonna enjoy playing with her because at the end of the day, you get that seasonal bonus. I can't speak highly enough about that system. Like a seasonal bonus, being paired with other characters for team up comps. It's just really good. So it doesn't force people to play with other characters, but it does get them to be like, hey, well, you know what? She's getting a bonus of 150 health, or he's getting a bonus of damage this season. I'm gonna use this character. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I do want to roll back just real fast because I do have one more thing to say. So to go off of what you were saying, Sin, with you're kind of gripe on adding the roll queue. I see your worry and everything that you think about it, but that the roll queue was a problem in Overwatch was because of Overwatch's small roster. I think in this game, having that roll queue, what it's going to do eventually if you don't have that roll queue is become oversaturated with insane amount of players and what do you call them, heroes in this game, and you can still have metas with that roll queue because you'll have characters such as they introduced Mr. Fantastic. He is essentially an off tank, so you can almost still have a 3 tank, 1 DPS, and 2 healer meta if you want, but one of your DPS is going to be an off tank,
but
it's
you're forcing the developers to then develop characters that are off tanks versus letting them just develop what they want, and then the player
they could
filling
still
in that
what
need.
they want. I mean, they don't have to develop different style characters for that need. They just eventually I believe will, just because of how their scope of how many characters they're going to add to this game.
Right, but why not let the community decide how to play them? Like give them the tools and let them build out what they want to build. If they want to build a fucking square boat with no sails, sure, fucking build it. Who gives a shit?
I believe they still will, because right now most teams still do play in the 2-2-2. It's just a standard. And having that's kind of like roster of characters, I think if anything it adds more strategy to the game, because you're not going to introduce just total comps that are just going to shred teams and offer no counter. I think that you're going to add more strategy, being like, all right, guys, what do we need to go against their group of tanks to ours? Because they do have tanks in this game that are dive tanks that do just insane amount of damage, and they're almost essentially a beefy DPS, and then They already have a lot of those characters.
For the sake of time and stuff like that, I mean, we can go round and round. I think we'll have this conversation, I'm sure, as more seasons kind of come out and more characters kind of get introduced, because it is what it is. I mean, the developers have said they are not doing any type of role queue. Maybe they change it, but right now they're not doing a role queue.
I'd like to see a role queue in at least like a competitive mode. I'm not even saying ranked, but maybe like Siege does. They do a quick play, an unranked, and a ranked. I'd like to see something like that.
I also think that you
actually
have the
enjoy
player
the
base
game
to split it up, dude.
I also think that you should
massive.
jump in and play it, and see if you actually, because your fear about having overpowered things that just shred everything doesn't exist. Like, there are counters to everything. Right.
But there still will be with a role queue.
Maybe. But anyway, I do want to touch on one thing that they do need to fix drastically, because the game is not perfect, and then we're going to move on to the news. But they do, like, there is an issue, and I don't know why the fuck they can't fix this or figure it out. But like, I want to put it out there because they're like, the only way that I found out about it was on TikTok. This game does have issues, and they have addressed some of it with it being pay to win, in the sense that if you have a better computer and you have a better PC and you can run this at a higher frame rate, then your characters can in season 0, they could do more damage, they could go farther, they could
oh no, the timing on projectiles is linked to FPS, isn't it?
Yes,
that's the meta. The meta is having a crazy beefy computer.
Yes,
that's wild.
So that
wait, that's a thing.
It is 100%. If you are playing on, if you are
linked to FPS,
if you are capping, if you're capping your frame rate to anything under 100 and I think 20 frames or something like that, then you are in fact having there are characters that are doing, you're doing the same amount of damage, but it's taking you longer to do it.
That's crazy. I just saw something. Somebody had like a comparison with like a 540 hertz monitor or something, and
it only goes up to like 120. Once you're past 120, it doesn't matter anymore at that point. Like, it's all the same. There's been numerous tests that have done it.
That's
to see it.
I have been crippling myself. I turned it down to 60 on purpose.
Yeah, if you're doing it on 60, you're hurting yourself 100%. They have fixed some of the stuff, like the movement. Like, before, Magic and Doctor Strange would literally go 5 meters less. Like, you would stand at 15 meters, do Magic's dive in combo, and you would not hit the person. But if you have 120 frames, you will hit them.
Frames-based physics is such a fucking noob move. You would think this team would know that by now.
You're actually looking at me right now, changing this stuff and looking at it. One, because it also is an issue because they do the same thing that fucking Overwatch does. People may not. I don't know. My chat never says anything about it. I see it because I'm anal retentive and I'm me, but like, there's screen tearing that's happening on like certain walls and stuff like that, because there's just so much shit going on. I'm playing it uncapped frames. Capture cards only work at 100 for this, it's 100 frames. If I play at 100 frames, I'm hurting myself by playing the game. So yeah, they need to fix that shit. I don't know what, like, they've worked on some of it. That I don't know why they haven't fixed it, period. But it is still an issue. So just a thing to kind of keep up and understand. So
thank you for checking out the patch notes. If you enjoyed this small selection from our podcast, come and join us every other Thursday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern for the full, unfiltered pre-patch podcast. And make sure you check out all of our past shows on anchor.fm/prepatch podcast.